Welcome, all my fellow Washington brethren and sistren. I am your man and resident Washington football team fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Washington Football Report. It is Tuesday, August 17th, and practice was, dare I say, unbalanced. If yesterday was a day for a bounce back from the offense, and the day before that was pure dominance by the defense, I'd say it reverted back to Sunday's result where the defense ruled the day. So defense definitely stepped up today at practice. We'll talk more about that here in a second, but as we customarily do on these training camp updates and practices, let's take care of some house cleaning first. We'll start with Curtis Samuel, which we usually do, and continue to update his progress. Feel like he's in a good spot, like to the point where he's not really something we should be really concerned with. Obviously, he's off the PUP list, and we talked about that a couple of days ago when he first came off of it. And now it's just a matter of conditioning and them just taking it slow with him. Yeah, so he was out on the side field today, much like yesterday, continuing to get work. He was accompanied on the side field with a couple of other players who are trying to slowly work their way back into the fold. In Casey Toohill, who's been out with a toe injury, and offensive tackle David Sharp, who is on the COVID-19 list and still trying to recover from that. Hasn't been removed from that list, but at some point he will be removed from that list, and they will have to make a corresponding roster move to account for him now being back on the active roster. So right now, Washington has trimmed their roster down to 85, which was the league mandated number set. We talked about that yesterday. And what name did I keep throwing out there? I said, look, they just signed Caleb Wilson, who's nothing more than a camp body. He was here last year, so don't be all up in arms about what they're going to do at tight end, and this guy has some talent and some potential, and this, that, and the third. I'm like, he's just here as a stopgap, and maybe they weren't getting enough out of the tight end position. I said, so they're probably going to release a guy like Nick Guggemos or something like that. And I said Nick Guggemos' name like 3 times yesterday. Probably going to release Nick Guggemos and some other guy you've never heard of. Don't worry about it. It's not going to really impact the roster. Well, they released Nick Guggemos and some other guy that wasn't impacting his team, and Greg Stroman. Now, I've said this a bunch of times, and the running joke with me was I forgot Greg Stroman was even on the roster. At one point, Greg Stroman had a really positive rookie campaign. We got excited about him, especially as a punt returner. And then I think over the next 3 years, he played in 5 games total because of injuries. So for as happy and as excited as we were about Stroh early on in his NFL career, nothing materialized of it. They cut ties with him today. They don't have to add in David Bada because he's a part of the IPP program, the International Pathway Program. So because of that, we're down to 85. Now, if David Sharp were to be activated from the COVID-19 list, say tomorrow, they'd have to cut someone to free up the roster spot to then have David Sharp fill that void. So we'll see what they decide to do. Again, more likely than not, if he comes back, it'll probably be somebody on the offensive line, more likely than not. But that remains to be seen. That's nor here nor there. Bottom line is Nick Guggemos and Greg Stroman released today to get Washington to the 85-player threshold, which needed to be met by 4 o'clock p.m. today. They did that, so we move on. So let's talk about practice and Ereck Flowers. We talked about Ereck Flowers again yesterday. We talked about him the day before that and how he was getting reps with the ones. Well, now make it 3 days in a row. So I think I said this yesterday, but yesterday was a bit of a hunch and just kind of reading the tea leaves. Today, this is more of a definitive statement I'm making to you. Eric Flowers, barring some kind of setback, is going to start the second preseason game versus Cincinnati. I don't think any of you are surprised by that news. We've been talking about him getting all the reps with the ones and how he was starting to get more of the opportunity than Wes Schweitzer. So it's not a surprise to me that he's trending towards being the starter in week 2 versus Cincinnati. Now the question is, and I said this yesterday, so I'm not going to harp on it much longer, but how long is he in for? You know, is this one of those situations where as long as the ones are in, he's in, or is this a flip-flop type of situation? He's in the first possession, Wes is in the second possession, Wes is in the third, and then let's say they keep the offense on for a fourth and final possession, and then Eric Flowers comes back for that. Who knows how they're going to mix it up, but right now he's taking the lion's share of reps at left guard with the ones, and looks like they're trending towards him starting in week 2 versus Cincinnati. The offense took a major L today at practice. So yesterday felt like a bounce back day. Ryan Fitzpatrick had one of his better days in recent memory at practice yesterday. And it was a far cry from the 7 or 8 INTs that were tossed the previous day before that. It was also yesterday, practice was in the rain. So maybe that had a little bit to do with the offense bouncing back. Maybe it didn't. Bottom line is, today the offense reverted back to being dominated by the defense. Ryan Fitzpatrick threw an interception to DeShazer Everett. Easily could have thrown 2 more interceptions, guys getting their hands on footballs. Kyle Allen threw an interception to Trapp, of all people, and Trapp's starting to make a name for himself at practice. Ron continues to talk about Trapp and his development. And Ron even went as far as to say today, after being asked about Trapp's, about his maturation at the cornerback position and how's the transition going, Ron even ventured to say that, yeah, look, you know, him playing corner and being better at it, him playing the ability to play safety and giving you positional flex, and being not just a core special teamer, but the best special teamer on this team, it really bodes well for Troy Apke come cut down time. So what Ron essentially is saying is, yeah, it's going to be, he's making it tough to cut him, you know, with him being a dominant special teams player. Now all of a sudden being able to give us something at the cornerback position. We know he can play safety if need be. It may not be very well, but he can play it. Apke's starting to put himself in a position. It's amazing how far we've come. Just a month ago, no one would have given Trapp a chance in hell of making this football team. As a matter of fact, I know people that would have slammed down copious amounts of money that would have stated he wasn't going to make this team. Now we sit here 2 weeks away from the end of the preseason, and this guy is making a strong case that he's going to be a lock to make this football team. Lock is a strong word, but that's where he's trending, guys. With what he does on special teams and now what he's being able to do at corner, Trapp is really giving himself a good chance. Speaking of chances, Dustin Hopkins is continuing to get many chances, and you know, not to the behest of a lot of you, to the chagrin, rather, of many of you. Well, Dustin Hopkins, for those of you out there that care about this, 5 of 5 today at practice. Now, again, it's practice. It's not a game. But I need him to build that confidence. I need him to see it go through the uprights. And more importantly, I need the place kicker, the holder, and the snapper to get on one accord. And them going 5 for 5 in practice means that they're starting to get on the same page. Then we're heading in the right direction. Jaret Patterson took punt returns, fielded punt returns today in practice. So I wanted to bring this up 3 days ago because someone had brought this to my attention. I think I even seen JP Finley tweet about it, but I didn't hear it come out of Ron's mouth myself. And that's what I was waiting for. I trust JP Finley. He's not going to lead us astray. And I seen him, mention it on Twitter like Sunday afternoon. But I wasn't buying it until I heard it from Ron's mouth. I didn't hear Ron say anything about Jaret Patterson taking special teams reps. Now, he may have said it on a different program. He may have said it somewhere else that I wasn't aware of, that I didn't watch. But I didn't hear that come out of his mouth after practice at any presser. So I wasn't going to run with it until I could confirm that, in fact, Jaret Patterson was going to jump back there and start fielding some punts to see how comfortable he could get at that position. And Ron confirmed that today. Ron calls him JP. Jaret Patterson was back on punts, fielding them. And Ron says he needs to get more comfortable, more acclimated, not just catching the football, but also what to do after you catch the football. You know, whether you start outside. He said the first thing is you need to get up the field and then make somebody miss, not try to make somebody miss and then get up the field. So Jaret Patterson doing everything in his power to make this football team, and he's doing one hell of a job. Ron talked about several players during his post-practice presser. One of those guys he was asked about, very first question as a matter of fact, was surrounding AGG, Antonio Gandy Golden, and to which Ron responded that he's been good this camp. What is Ron supposed to say? I actually didn't feel like his answer was a ringing endorsement of AGG. You can tell when Ron really likes someone and some of the words that he uses. When he just gives you a blanket generic statement and then wants to move on, I don't think he's really feeling all that great about that player. But again, as a coach, it's your job to elevate everyone, lift everyone up. And so he's not going to tear anybody down right now. So AGG needs confidence. Ron's going to try to instill that in him. But at the end of the day, he's going to have to make some plays over the next 2 weeks if he wants to keep his job on this roster, or else they'll move on and go with someone else. Dax Milne is ahead of schedule, Ron claims. And see, that's what I'm talking about. The conversation surrounding AGG versus Dax Milne are two different conversations. How he described AGG, he being Ron Rivera, sounded a lot like how he used to describe Dwayne last year, as he knew Dwayne couldn't do it. You know, he's a big kid. He's got a big arm. That's what Ron would say about Dwayne when he didn't have anything nice to say about Dwayne. You know, he's got all the tools. He's got a big arm. You know, you can't keep telling me the same shit over and over. You already told me that 15 times, so now I know you don't have anything else nice to say. So you're saying the same shit. You're recycling some of the things you've said in the past. Kind of feel that way about AGG now. You throw out a vague statement. It's very veiled in any description, and then to top it off, you know, you talk about how good of a camp they're having. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. Dax Milne, on the other hand, he went out of his way to say he's ahead of schedule of where most rookies would be at this point, and that he really likes the development of Dax Milne and what he's bringing to the table. That sounds more along the lines of praise than, yeah, you know, Antonio Gandy Golden, a big kid, has some size, can go up and get the football, you know, big physical, you know, kid. And that's all of the things we can see. What's going on at practice. He did throw in having a strong camp, but I think everyone's having – I haven't heard Ron say, yeah, he's having a disappointing camp. I've never heard him say that, and I don't think I ever will. So everybody's having a strong camp this time of the year, believe it or not. And lastly, Kyle Allen says he will play on Friday night versus the Bengals. He released that information at his presser today. Both quarterbacks, or 2 out of the 3 quarterbacks, spoke with the media today. Kyle Allen and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Allen said, yeah, I'm good. I'm playing. You know, it killed me to be out last year, but I'm back now, and I'm definitely playing on Friday versus the Bengals. That's music to my ears. I already told you how I feel about the quarterback position and how it affects the rest of the team, especially in the preseason. We need a guy that can actually run the offense fluidly, which will allow other players to be examined and to actually understand what they are doing on the field. In order to have the ability to grade these other players, you got to have a quarterback that actually knows this offense and can run it effectively and efficiently, which Kyle Allen can do. So I don't know if he'll play the remainder of the game. We still may see Steven Montez in some capacity, but it'll be a lot less Steven Montez this week than it was last week. And less Montez is better. So we'll see what happens there. But that's great news that Kyle Allen, who said his ankle feels stronger than ever. Again, what is he supposed to say? But bottom line is he'll play on Friday, barring any kind of setback. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I thank you guys for joining me here on the Washington Football Report. Remember, I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Washington football team. Go ahead, do me a huge solid, and hit that subscribe button for more great content. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also hit the like button as it helps this channel grow immensely. Remember, we will be live tomorrow night previewing the upcoming preseason game. And I will be giving you details on how you can get your hands on 2 tickets to the 3rd preseason game at home versus the Baltimore Ravens. Until then, I'm your man Louie T, telling you to get off the bench and get in the game and kick it with me, your man Louie T. You guys, have a good one. Take care.
LouieTeeNetwork.